Yo, JD here, Limitless. I'm back on F1 2021 as always. And as you can see, we have the face cam. It's been a while since I have had this kind of video where you actually see me driving. So please let me know if you would like me to continue this, if you want it in a better position, etc. But we arrive at Zandvoort for another 25% race, starting at the back of the grid with some very fast drivers who we all try to start at the back and see what we can do. And this race here is probably the best I've driven in the race so far on F1 2021. I think Zandvoort is probably my best and favourite track on the game, after doing it quite a few times now. And I just think the speed that I'm currently doing in this game, particularly around this track, is a speed I just haven't done before. So I hope you learned something. Ask me anything you want to do with the driving, equipment, anything you see and you have a question on, then just let me know and I'll do my best to answer it. But as you saw at the start of the video, I am using my TT setup that I did round Zandvoort, so if you haven't watched that, that will be in the playlist that I've done recently, so make sure you check that out, because I honestly think it's pretty much perfect for this track. It just has the perfect mix of responsiveness and stability and traction, and just over the curbs, it's just, I don't think I could really improve it much more than this, and it's really what you need for a race situation. For qualifying, you could definitely go with an even more responsive setup and it would probably work, but then for the race you would then be in a little bit of trouble. But as we know, Zandvoort is a hard track to overtake on, so grid position might be quite important. But you'll be able to see for this race, we are just effortlessly just going up this field, doing some really nice overtakes, people being very clean in these lobbies as always. So thank you so much to the people I've been racing against. It's been a really, really good experience. And yeah, if anyone wants to join these, then I usually do these at midday. Follow me on Instagram. That's why I go live. But we've gone up to P9 now, so just being patient is one of the things you just really need, especially in an online lobby. Just let everyone cause carnage and sort themselves out. You pick up the pieces. Sometimes you'll have to make a firm overtake, but we're just intelligently knowing when to go for it and when not to go for it. So you can see here, we've got the DRS. Well, DRS I don't think is active at the moment, but we're not going to push too hard to overtake this guy. We're going to test to see what the straight line speed is like, but with 11 level wings, I know it's probably going to be quite difficult to do that. So going into turn 1, let's see if we can get some good traction. He's on the soft tyre. We started on the medium, so we should be at a disadvantage at this stage. And you can just see we're just all over him. We're thinking about going around the outside there. And do we still get it done? Yes, we do. With the traction, gives me a good old squeeze onto the grass. But I don't think he's able to do anything. A legal overtake. We let back through and then to go past him again. Just use that pure downforce as the McLaren has unfortunately gone onto the gravel. And that's now up into P5. And the drivers in here are good drivers as well. I've raced with a lot of these people. They definitely have good speed, good awareness. So again, I feel that my pace compared to last game in particular, I was definitely not as strong as this compared to these drivers or anyone else as well. I just feel completely in tune with this game. And you were able to see by the face cam, the webcam, just how smooth we are driving as well. No real harsh movements. You don't need to be super aggressive with the wheel. Just nice and smooth, and just being in complete control really goes a long way, as Iro Schumacher goes in deep, so we can just take advantage of that again, just using that downforce and the traction we have, getting that move done very nicely. I like to take a tight line into here. A lot of people go wide, but I like to stay nice and tight. I probably lose a bit of speed on the exit. I feel I just gain more through the entry and the mid part of the corner. You can see we're going purple in this sector 1 here, and the pace, we just feel like we're just on railroads at the moment. So just go down the inside. So that's just another showcase of the confidence we have under the brakes here. So the Mercedes tries to get us back, then we go back down the inside once again, getting some good launch off that corner. Don't think he's going to fight this, or despite him having the DRS. You can see the leaders are about 3 seconds up the road. So let's see how quickly we actually close in on them there. And we're already up to P3 after 4 laps. And I know some people say that no, there's a lot of carnage in front of you and you just let it go, but I see some of the drivers who are just too eager to make up positions rather than let everyone sort themselves out. And I think you just need an element of patience. I think that's one of the things that people definitely don't have when they play online. They just do not know when to be patient. And there are times you need to be aggressive, you need to be firm, like the overtake I did on the previous lap, just knowing when you can go for it, when it's actually going to benefit you. Because if I didn't overtake him there, I would have been stuck behind him again, and there would have been another lap where I would have been losing too much time. So it's all about knowing when to and when not to go for things, and when to take the risk as well. But you can already see we've gained about a second on the leaders on his previous lap. Ali Star, who is a good driver as well, he's got some good pace. Same with Jamie VT, Schumacher. We had people like Critch in here, Sparks as well, who was in here as well. I think Critch, towards the end of the race, will be able to have a direct comparison of what our pace is like. But right now, I'm just making sure I get in the DRS zone of this car, and I do, because the detection point is there. So doing the job nicely, not using any of the overtake button. And you can see we're setting the fastest up of 11.1 without really using much ERS as well. So that's a pretty nice lap time on these mediums at this stage of the race here. And yeah, this one's going to be a long one again, as I said, but I always find that it really is helpful, as this guy's got all out of shape, not even using the overtake, decides to actually let me go. So once again, just illustrating how nice people are, how respectful people are in these hobbies, and it really is nice to see. And it's good that I race with a lot of regular people. You know who you are as well, racing very, very clearly. But we're behind this McLaren now, and most people I would expect are running their own setups. Mine is 11-11 wings around here, and a lot of people try and go for a little bit lower than that, like 9-11 or 10-11. But I think downforce really is king, mainly for the traction, just for that stability, helping the tyre wear, tyre temps as well, and just for that overall grip, particularly in that middle sector. But going down the straight here, I'm not going to launch an attack on him, but I can see that he's using a little bit of the overtake button, or he's running slightly less wings. But you could just see going through these corners, you could just see how much more grip we have going through here, particularly this middle sector. I wasn't really in a rush to overtake him. I just wanted to see when he would run out of the ERS. You can see he's taking the wide line, but you can see he's gained a bit on the exit. By the entry in the mid part of the corner, I think we actually gain quite a bit of time as well. But let's go through these sections. Let's see how fast he is going through here. And you can see once again, we are just closing in, going through into these corners, despite having the dirty air as well. You can see we're literally almost pushing him round here. So this is the benefit of running high downforce. Yes, you might not be as fast on the straight, but I think in a race situation, particularly if you have track position, you're just going to be in a superior position and get to a competition. And that means under braking, you could be more firm as well. And you could just see all through these corners, we are just absolutely all over him. So I was convinced he was using a little bit of the battery power, particularly on the straight. You can see on the exit here, he's pulling away a little bit slightly. Despite us having the DRS, I could tell he was definitely using a little bit of the battery. So I wanted to see when his red light would be flashing. So again, these kind of races, I really like to experiment with, to see where you can attack people, where people can defend, and it's hard for you to overtake. And I just wanted to see how close I could be in the dirty air, and with this high downforce, if it could be easy to overtake down the straight when he's not using any of the battery power. So I'm kind of just trying to force him to push as hard as he possibly can, and see where the difference in the straight line speed is. So you can see once again all over him going to here. You can see Critch in 5th place, probably the next fastest man in this lobby. He's 7.6 seconds behind, because unfortunately he got caught up in something. So going to here again, I was thinking about getting the inside, but I just still want to wait for this straight, because again, I was just convinced he was low on the battery power. Just get a little bit out of shape there. So the dirty air is definitely a factor on this game, but I don't think it's as big as it was on the previous game. But it looks like he's definitely using the battery here. And you can see we're lapping about a second so, and now his battery's gone. So he's under 10%, and we are on, I don't know how much that is. Is that 90+%? I think it is. I think it's going to be almost 100% go through here, and it is 100% battery. So he's floating around the 10% mark. So again, I think that does show of how much speed we have really in the tank. We are on the same tyres as well. You can just see again that the downforce is just absolutely superior. And yeah, I just love this game. I just love how the handling is. I just feel in complete control in this race. That's how I felt when I was driving in this moment, and definitely at a new level of raw speed compared to what I was used to, which was consistent and fast for sure, but I feel we have that raw speed now with something that was a little bit missing from the previous games here. So right here now, let's see what the straight out speed is going to be this time. Trying to get a good exit off this corner, and you can see he is not pulling away this time, so we're all over the back of him, and he decides to go into the pits. I think that would have been quite an easy overtake going into turn one regardless. So you can see we're lapping about a second a lap slower. Critch is 6.7 seconds behind because we were losing a bit of time behind the McLaren there. So let's see what kind of speed we now have once we have been set loose with some clear track. Let's see what we can do now. So we're using a little bit of the battery on the exit to get that momentum, and you can see it's a purple first sector because we did have the DRS going down that main straight here as well. And you could just see the car is just, it just feels like it's on absolute rails going around this track. It just feels very responsive, doesn't slide around at all. The traction pickup is just so good, and even with 11 wings, the ERS reharvesting is actually much better in this game than it was on the last as well. So we did another purple middle sector here. See that gap is actually going up quite a bit to the cars behind as well. So now we're going to push, see what car lap time we can get now. We're in this clear air, and what's it going to be? It's crossing the line. It's a 10.6. That's a really, really good time on mediums for this stage of the race. So we're skipping on to next lap as well, not using any of the ERS, just to see what kind of lap time we can get, and it's 11.1. So again, a very, very quick lap. And this is what I was testing. This is what I always do, just to see how fast I can go with no ERS versus ERS. And you can just see again within the same tenth of a second, another 11.1. So the consistency is there. Some people have pitted behind me as well, so we went on for an extra couple of laps. We're going to go into the pits now and now truly unleash the raw pace we have in this track. And yeah, the soft tyres feel very, very nice around here. So coming up here, we've actually done quite a big overcut, because I think Ali Star might have made a bit of a mistake, because we're coming out the pits a long, long way up ahead here. We definitely weren't gaining that through lap time. I think he definitely made a mistake or something like that. So the gap is about 5.6 seconds. I think we would have come out maybe a couple seconds ahead, as Critch does is 10.4. So let's see what kind of lap time that we can do here. I think we're going to stay on board for most of these laps to the end of the race. And as always, please let me know if you do like this, if you do find this useful. This is how I learned how to improve, by just spending weeks and months watching people who I consider to be better than me, watching their full race, and just visualizing how I could do the same thing, and just watching them. And now you have a webcam, so you can actually see my wheel input. You can see it's just very smooth. I don't really like to make too many corrections. I'm not very aggressive driver with the steering wheel. I really like to be smooth, and I think that's mainly come from my kart racing days when I used to compete in the British Championship in karting and European Championship. I was always very, very smooth, which works very well in karting, but sometimes in the real world, or sorry, in the virtual world, you do need to be a little bit more aggressive. But this is a lap where I'm going to try and give it everything here, see what kind of pace I have. Pay attention to the gaps behind. Critch, I think, had another instance, so he's 20.3 seconds behind. let's keep an eye on that gap. Let's see how big that gap, if it extends at all to the end of the race, because he is a very, very fast driver, but we actually make a bit of a mistake. That's the first mistake we have made, and that's another mistake as well. So I was really pushing hard on this lap, so I'm actually going to abandon this. I'm not going to use any of the ERS for the rest of this lap. So I'm going to do another lap after this, not use any of the ERS, and then use it again, recharge it, and go for another lap, because the softs are actually quite durable around this circuit. They might lose maybe 2 or 3 tenths after maybe 3 laps or something like that, but overall you can actually do quite a lot of laps in this game. And you can see the gaps behind are going up very quickly despite that. So we haven't used any of the ERS here, and it's a 10.2 despite making those 2 errors on that lap as well. So we complete this lap. Now we're going to recharge it, and now we're going to push again. Let's see how much faster we can go. So we have wasted 2 or 3 laps here, so it won't be the complete optimal lap that we could have done, as we actually improve again because we were using the ERS down that back straight. So now we're going to try and push as hard as we can, and let's see what we can do on these slightly used tyres. You can see the gaps behind, 13.4, about 22.4 to Critch. So we'll keep an eye on that there, getting some great traction coming off this corner, using all of the overtake you can see down below here. Now, do we make the same mistake? We tended a little bit too early this time, but this time it was done very, very nicely. Do we hit the curb this time? No, we don't. Use all of the track, but don't run onto that curb. Nice and early, really attack both of these next corners. Use all the track, and again, a nice sweeping line. Stay tight on the exit, not too wide, and that was done again very, very nicely. And you can see the gap is coming up all the time. A purple middle sector, so about 4 tenths up on this lap so far, and anything in the 9s is a very, very good time here. So we went a little bit wide going through this corner, because that definitely could have been better. Coming around this last corner, using the rest of our ERS. What time is this going to be? It's a 9.8 on those used tyres. That's a very, very good time. And my actual PB is a 9.4, believe it or not, which is about a second off the world record. So that's, yeah, I think the speed is very, very good around here. And you can see the gaps to the cars behind, starting on the last row of the grid. I compare myself to people like Critch and other people as well who are pretty fast in this lobby. These drivers are not uncompetitive. Yeah, this is definitely the best drive I've done in this game so far, and I'm really, really looking forward to testing how far I can go. And yeah, I've just been absolutely loving it so far, and I really hope you've learned things by watching these videos, because as I said, this is the way how I improved, by just racing against good players, watching other players' footage, and finding what works for me as well. Those are the things that are absolutely key, and just having the time and patience, because it certainly does not happen overnight. You need to pace yourself, and it will come. And crossing a line, we win this race by, I think it's going to be almost over, or almost 20 seconds. So very, very happy with that race. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you liked the face cam as well, and I will be catching you very, very soon. Peace.